Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really going deep into a classic, a really influential book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy.
That's right. It came out way back in 1963, but honestly, the ideas, still incredibly relevant.
Absolutely. And this isn't just going to be a dry summary. We want this to be, a practical guide for you, the listener.
We know you're curious, want to grasp things quickly, but also properly without feeling like overwhelmed.
Exactly. So we've pulled out the key ideas, the really impactful stuff from Dr. Murphy's work.
And we'll try to illustrate them with examples that hopefully resonate, things you can actually relate to in your own life.
Okay, so the core promise here, the big idea, it's that your usual way of thinking, the images you hold in your mind, they actually shape your destiny.
Yeah, it sounds huge, but that's the claim. Your subconscious mind is this incredibly powerful force. Understand it, direct it, and it can work wonders.
And maybe you've wondered, why do some people seem happy, successful, while others just struggle constantly?
Right. The book suggests the answers are tied up in how our conscious and subconscious minds work together, or sometimes against each other.
We're going to try and clarify those questions today.
And we'll keep it simple. Everyday language, no heavy jargon. The focus is really on practical application, how you can use this.
So let's start with one of his core concepts. This idea of the treasure house within. What's that about?
Okay, so Dr. Murphy paints this picture of the subconscious mind as like a vast gold mine inside you.
A gold mine.
Yeah, full of infinite intelligence, boundless love, basically an untapped resource. He's saying we all have this incredible power source within us.
So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about realizing there's this deeper intelligence we can tap into.
Exactly. It's like having this super powerful tool you haven't really learned how to use properly yet. It's already there.
He uses an interesting analogy, doesn't he? Something about steel.
Oh, yeah, the magnetized steel. It's a great one. He says, look, a piece of magnetized steel can lift, 12 times its own weight? But demagnetize it, and it can't even lift a feather.
Right.
So he draws this parallel. The magnetized man is full of confidence, faith, believes they can succeed. The demagnetized one, full of fear, doubt, just stuck.
And the point is, the potential is always there in the steel.
Yeah.
Just like the power is always there in our subconscious.
Precisely. It's about activating it, directing it with our conscious thoughts, and crucially, our beliefs. Your beliefs act almost like filters for reality.
Okay, so the big takeaway right at the start is, this power isn't somewhere else. It's in you now.
Yep, waiting to be accessed.
So how do we access it? I guess that brings us to how the mind actually works, according to Murphy. The conscious versus the subconscious.
Right. He breaks it down into two levels. You've got your conscious mind, the rational part.
That's the part we use for everyday decisions, choosing what book to read, where to live, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Reasoning, analyzing, making choices. Then there's the subconscious. He calls it the irrational level sometimes.
Okay, and what does that do?
Well, that's the seat of your emotions. It's where creativity often comes from. And it runs all the automatic stuff in your body, digestion, breathing, heartbeat.
Stuff we don't have to think about.
Right. And here's the key thing. The subconscious doesn't argue. It's like fertile soil. Whatever you plant in it, through your habitual thoughts and beliefs, it accepts.
It just takes it as true.
Pretty much. It accepts the premise your conscious mind gives it. It doesn't question whether it's good or bad, true or false. It just accepts and acts.
So if you constantly think thoughts of lack or fear,
those thoughts sink down, impress the subconscious, and then the subconscious works to create conditions that match those thoughts.
Wow. But the opposite is also true. If you focus on health, success.
Yes. If those become your habitual thoughts, the dominant ideas you entertain, your subconscious will work to manifest those in your reality. It's a powerful feedback loop.
So our dominant thoughts are literally programming our subconscious and therefore our lives, whether we realize it or not.
That's the essence of it. And this leads directly to another massive concept in the book, the power of belief.
Okay, talk about belief. How does Murphy frame it?
He says the law of your mind is the law of belief. But here's a really crucial distinction he makes.
What's that?
It's not the thing you believe in that brings the result. It's the belief itself, the mental acceptance within your own mind that triggers the subconscious response.
Can you give an example?
Well, he talks about prayer working across different religions. Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, Jewish. People from all faiths experience answers to prayer.
Right.
Murphy argues it's not the specific dogma or ritual that's key, it's the shared element of belief. that mental acceptance, that expectation that the prayer will be answered. That's what the subconscious responds to.
So the power isn't in the specific prayer or object, but in the person's own conviction.
Exactly. He even quotes the Bible, Mark 11:23. Whatsoever things ye desire, believe that you receive them. His interpretation is that you need to believe in how your own mind works. Have faith in the power of your belief itself.
Okay, so practically speaking, this means we should focus less on external circumstances.
And more on cultivating that internal state of unwavering belief. Believing in our own mind's power to achieve what we desire. That belief itself is a powerful thought.
Which brings us nicely to suggestion. He talked a lot about the power of suggestion.
Tremendous power, yeah. He sees the conscious mind as like a gatekeeper. Its job is to protect the subconscious from negative impressions.
But the subconscious itself is very open to suggestion.
Highly suggestible. He gives that classic example of the person on a ship.
Oh, the seasickness one.
Yeah. If you go up to someone who's already a bit nervous and say, "Oh, you look really pale, I bet you're going to get seasick," that suggestion can easily take root in their fear, and they might actually start feeling sick because their subconscious accepts it.
But if you said that to an experienced sailor,
They'd probably laugh it off, right? Their conscious mind, their established belief in not getting seasick, rejects the suggestion. It doesn't get through to the subconscious.
so the conscious mind can block negative suggestions. That's crucial.
It is. But he also warns about the danger of repeated negative suggestions, especially emotionally charged ones.
You mean like the story of the father who kept saying he'd give his right arm?
Exactly. That's a really disturbing example he uses. This father apparently kept saying over and over, "I'd give my right arm to see my daughter cured." She had severe arthritis and a skin condition.
And what happened?
Well, according to the newspaper report Murphy cites, the father eventually lost his right arm in an accident after years of repeating that phrase with intense feeling.
That's chilling. It shows the power of persistent negative self-talk.
Absolutely. It really imprinted on his subconscious. So the practical takeaway is huge. Be really mindful of the suggestions you accept from others, and especially from yourself.
Watch your internal dialogue. Watch the news you consume, the conversations you have.
Yes, because they are potentially programming your subconscious.
Okay. This links to another idea. He talks about the power of the assumed major premise. How does that work?
He explains it using logic, like a syllogism. Major premise, minor premise, conclusion.
Vaguely, yeah.
Well, the idea is, whatever your conscious mind accepts as the major premise, the fundamental truth or assumption dictates the conclusion your subconscious will reach about any specific situation.
So if your basic assumption about life is positive,
Then your subconscious will tend to work things out positively. But if your major premise is negative, like, "I never get a break," or "things always go wrong for me,"
then the subconscious will operate based on that premise.
precisely. He tells a story of a professor whose life was falling apart: health, finances, relationships, everything.
What did Murphy tell him?
To consciously establish a new, positive, major premise, something like, "Infinite intelligence leads and guides me in all ways. Perfect health is mine. The law of harmony operates in my mind and body."
So basically, feed the subconscious a better foundational belief.
Yes, because the subconscious doesn't argue with the premise. It just gets to work, making it true in your experience. And the professor apparently turned his whole life around by consistently affirming his new major premise with feeling.
It makes you stop and think, doesn't it? But what are my own fundamental assumptions? Are they helping me or holding me back?
It's a powerful question to ask yourself.
All right, this all builds towards the main theme, the miracle-working power of your subconscious. What does he mean by miracle working?
He means it has enormous capabilities. It inspires you, guides you, brings back memories, controls all your vital bodily functions. It's incredibly powerful.
And it's always active, even when we sleep.
Never sleeps, never rests, always on the job, which leads to a really simple but profound technique he suggests.
Okay.
Just before you fall asleep, clearly state to your subconscious what you want it to accomplish, like ask for guidance on a problem or affirm a desired outcome.
And the idea is that forces within you will be set in motion while you sleep.
That's what he claims. He says you're tapping into a kind of omnipotence, a universal wisdom through your subconscious.
He points to geniuses like Shakespeare, Beethoven, suggesting their insights came from this subconscious connection.
Yes, that their great works stemmed from tapping into this deeper mind. He even mentions Dr. Esdale, the surgeon in India who performed surgeries using only mental suggestion before anesthesia existed.
Incredible stories.
They really are. The takeaway is, Don't underestimate the power available to you, especially during sleep. Consciously direct it before you drift off.
Okay, moving on. He talks about the law of action and reaction. As within, so without. Could you elaborate on that?
Sure, it's a fundamental principle. Your inner world, your thoughts, feelings, mental images creates your outer world. Your conditions, experiences, circumstances.
So if you're feeling frustrated because you want something but aren't getting it.
That frustration, those negative thoughts and emotions can actually manifest physically. He links things like ulcers, heart problems, anxiety directly back to negative thought patterns.
And your self-image gets reflected back to you. In your health, your finances, your relationship.
Exactly. Your outer world is like a mirror reflecting your dominant inner state. He even shares his own story of healing a skin malignancy through prayer by changing his inner conviction.
So the message is about taking responsibility for our inner world.
Absolutely, because that's where the creative power lies.
So if someone wants to improve their health, how does Murphy suggest they convey that idea to the subconscious?
He gives a couple of good examples. One is a minister with lung cancer.
What did he do?
He practiced deep relaxation, going through each body part, consciously relaxing it. Then he'd affirm something like, "The perfection of God is now being expressed through me. The idea of perfect health is filling my subconscious mind." Systematically relaxing and affirming.
And the other method involves imagination.
Yes, disciplined imagination. He talks about a man with paralysis who was told to vividly imagine himself walking around his office, answering the phone, doing everything normally, feeling the reality of it.
Like a mental rehearsal of being healed?
Exactly. By repeatedly running that mental movie, he impressed the pattern of health onto his subconscious, and apparently the healing followed.
So relaxation and vivid, feeling-rich mental imagery are key tools.
Definitely. For impressing the subconscious with any desired outcome, really, but especially health.
He also touches on mental healing throughout history, right? Ancient temples, biblical stories.
Yeah, he connects the dots, saying the power in those ancient healing shrines wasn't necessarily magical. It was the power of intense belief and expectancy in the minds of the people seeking healing.
Same principle as the prayer examples.
Exactly. Belief is the key. He quotes the Bible again. "Believe that ye receive and ye shall have." It's about achieving that inner certainty, that faith.
And this applies today just as much.
He gives modern examples too. People changing their mental attitude and releasing the healing power within. Ministers helping doubters by maintaining a state of passive faith for them. Even absent treatment.
Praying for someone far away.
Yes, the idea being that by inducing an inner realization of health and wholeness in your own mind for that person, you can connect with their subconscious and facilitate healing. He shares stories of a daughter healing her mother, a psychologist healing his own TB through nightly affirmations.
Wow, so the core message remains consistent. Faith, expectancy, positive affirmation are crucial for healing.
Across time, across cultures, yeah. That's his argument.
Okay, chapter 6 gets really practical. Specific techniques for mental healing. He redefines prayer, doesn't he?
Yeah, he frames it less as religious ritual and more as formulating an idea clearly in your mind. It's the soul's sincere desire taking form as a thought.
And he offers different methods, like the passing over technique.
Right. That one involves getting into a relaxed, drowsy, almost dreamlike state, like just before sleep. And then you calmly think over your desire, feeling it as already coming true, passing into reality.
Like the girl with the coffee mentions.
Exactly. She just kept affirming, it is passing away now, and it did. Simple, gentle repetition in a receptive state.
Then there's the mental blueprint idea.
Yeah, like building a house. You need a detailed plan. He says, build your mental blueprint with thoughts of peace, harmony, joy, success. Your subconscious will then use that blueprint to construct your life.
And the mental movie method.
That's about creating a vivid mental scene of the desired end result. See it, feel it, hear it, make it real in your imagination, and play that movie over and over.
He also mentions Quimby's methods.
Phineas Park Quimby, a pioneer in this field. His approach involved identifying the mental error or negative belief in the patient's mind and replacing it by contemplating the divine ideal of perfection.
And the decree method.
Yeah.
Sounds powerful.
It is. It involves speaking your desire out loud or strongly in your mind with conviction and faith, decreeing it to be true, trusting the infinite power to bring it about, like the girl stopping unwanted attention.
So lots of tools in the toolbox.
Definitely. He encourages experimenting to see what works best for you.
Okay, another fundamental point he makes is that the subconscious mind's tendency is always lifeward. What does that mean?
It means its inherent drive is towards health, growth, harmony, expression. He says 90% of our mental life is subconscious, and it's constantly working to preserve and help us.
It's the source of our gut feeling, our inspirations.
Aspirations, inspirations, intuitions, hunches, yes. He sees it as deeply connected to life itself. Even at the cellular level, there's an intelligence working towards health.
So being healthy is actually the normal state. Sickness is going against that natural flow.
That's his perspective. Sickness comes when we obstruct that flow with negative thoughts, fear, resentment. He gives examples like healing Pott's disease, a serious spinal condition, through persistent affirmation of wholeness.
And the young man healing his eyes by imagining the doctor saying it was a miracle.
Right, aligning his thought with the life-word tendency. So the takeaway is work with this innate drive towards life and health in your thinking.
But sometimes people try these things and fail. Why does that happen?
Good question. He addresses that directly. 2 main reasons for failure, he says. Lack of confidence and trying too hard, using too much mental effort or force.
Trying too hard. That seems counterintuitive.
It does, but he explains the subconscious responds to faith and acceptance, not mental coercion or willpower. Forcing it can actually create resistance.
Like pushing against a closed door.
Exactly. And avoid negative statements like things are getting worse. That just reinforces the negative. You need a clear destination, like telling a taxi driver where to go.
So relaxation is important. Easy does it.
Very important. Relax. Focus on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the solution already present. Use imagination, not willpower.
He mentions the law of reversed effort here, right?
Yes, from Emile Coué. It states that if your desire and your imagination are in conflict, imagination always wins. If you desire health but vividly imagine sickness, the imagination fear is stronger. Trying harder mentally can make it worse.
So you need your conscious desire and your subconscious feeling or imagination to be in agreement.
That's the key. Harmony between the two. So cultivate confident expectation, let go of struggle, and trust the process.
Let's shift gears to wealth. How does he apply these principles to attracting prosperity?
He stresses that wealth is fundamentally a subconscious conviction. Just saying affirmations without feeling them won't cut it.
You have to feel wealthy on the inside first.
Yes, you have to tap into what he calls the invisible means of support within your subconscious. Feel abundant, feel prosperous.
What's a good technique for that?
He suggests repeating simple words like wealth, success, quietly, with feeling, several times a day, focusing on the inner power, the source, not just the outer symbols of wealth.
Why do affirmations for wealth sometimes fail then?
Often because there's a mental conflict. Someone says, I am wealthy, but consciously feels it's a lie, feels lack. The subconscious picks up the dominant feeling of lack.
So what's a better affirmation?
He suggests something like, by day and by night, I am being prospered in all of my interests. It feels more progressive, less likely to create conflict.
And avoid negative talk about money. I can't afford that.
Definitely. He says that's like signing blank checks for lack. The subconscious is like a bank. It magnifies whatever you deposit, thoughts of wealth or thoughts of poverty.
Gratitude is important too.
Essential. Feeling grateful for what you already have opens the door for more. So focus on feeling abundant, trust the subconscious, and be grateful.
Okay, and how about success? How does the subconscious fit in there? He defines success quite broadly, doesn't he?
Yes, not just money. Success is successful living peace, joy, happiness, fulfillment.
And he has 3 steps for success.
He does. 1, find what you truly love to do and do it. Passion is key.
Makes sense. 2.
Specialize in that field. Become really good at it. Aim for excellence.
Okay, and 3.
Realize that the most important step is ensuring your chosen path benefits humanity, and that true success, the feeling of accomplishment and peace, comes from your subconscious mind aligning with your goals. Peace of mind is vital.
So it's more than just ambition.
Much more. He uses Flagler, the oil tycoon, as an example of someone who used visualization extensively, seeing his projects completed in his mind's eye first.
Aligning passion with subconscious power.
That's the recipe.
It's interesting how he also points to scientists using their subconscious.
Yeah, he argues many great discoveries weren't purely logical deduction. Edison, Marconi, Einstein. He suggests they tapped into their subconscious intuition.
Like Kekulé figuring out the benzene ring structure.
Exactly. That famous dream of a snake biting its tail, a flash of subconscious insight solving a problem the conscious mind was stuck on.
And Nikola Tesla visualizing his inventions in complete detail.
Yeah, mentally building and testing them before touching any physical components. It shows the power of that inner visualization, connecting with subconscious intelligence.
So we should trust our own hunches and intuitive flashes more.
Definitely. Pay attention to those insights. They often come from that deeper level.
Let's talk about sleep. He dedicates a whole chapter to it. Why is sleep so important in this context?
Well, we spend about a third of our lives asleep, right? And Murphy says the subconscious doesn't sleep. It stays active, processing, healing. Healing actually happens faster during sleep.
He mentions Dr. Bigelow's research.
Yes, suggesting sleep connects us to our higher nature, our spiritual side. Murphy even calls prayer a form of sleep, withdrawing from the outer world to connect with inner wisdom.
And lack of sleep is obviously bad.
Causes irritability, depression. We need that restoration time, usually around 8 hours. Guidance often comes during sleep, too. Dreams can be very insightful.
Like Robert Louis Stevenson getting story ideas in his sleep.
Exactly. He'd consciously ask his subconscious for stories before sleeping. So the takeaway is, use your sleep time, set intentions, ask for guidance, affirm positive outcomes before you drift off.
Okay, what about relationships? Marital problems. How does the subconscious play a role there?
Fundamentally, he says attracting the right partner or having a harmonious marriage starts with your own mental attitude and feelings.
Like attracts like in terms of inner state?
Kind of. Unhappiness in marriage often stems from negative attitudes, resentment, not understanding these subconscious laws. Mental divorce often happens long before the legal one.
So focusing on mental loyalty, love, appreciation is key.
Absolutely. He offers techniques like affirming love and harmony, creating a mental movie of your ideal relationship, and consistently practicing forgiveness towards your partner.
Cultivating positive thoughts and feelings about your partner or the partner you desire.
That's the foundation for a happy relationship, according to Murphy.
And happiness itself, is that also a subconscious thing?
He calls happiness a habit, a state of mind you choose. It's not just dependent on external events.
How do you choose it?
By consciously choosing your thoughts. Ponder positive, good, virtuous things. Start the day deciding to be happy. Practice gratitude. Hold a sincere desire for happiness.
So negative thoughts lead to unhappiness.
Inevitably. True happiness comes from a quiet mind, anchored in peace, maybe connected to a sense of divine guidance. He insists there's no external block to happiness, only your own thoughts.
The source is within.
Always, the highest and best within you, which he often equates with God or life principle. So actively choose happy thoughts, cultivate that inner state.
How does this apply to relationships with everyone, not just partners? Harmonious human relations.
Same principle, really. Your subconscious records your habitual thoughts about others. So the golden rule isn't just ethical, it's practical. Thinking good of others helps you.
And hateful thoughts are like poison.
Mental poison, harming yourself primarily. What you think and feel about others, you tend to attract similar experiences. Cheating someone ultimately brings lack to yourself. Kindness comes back multiplied.
So we're responsible for our thoughts about others too.
Completely. He talks about emotional maturity, allowing others to be different without getting upset. Even animals pick up on your vibes.
Practice empathy, goodwill.
Towards everyone, it creates harmony both within and without.
Forgiveness seems like a huge theme for Murphy. Why is it so important?
Because unforgiveness is incredibly damaging, mentally and physically. It holds you prisoner more than the other person.
And true forgiveness is more than just words.
It's wishing them well, genuinely wanting good for them, releasing the resentment for your own sake. He talks about the guilt complex too, how we punish ourselves with negative thinking long after an event.
Life doesn't punish, we punish ourselves.
That's his view. Negative thoughts create negative results. He even suggests seeing criticism not as an attack, but maybe as useful feedback. Resentment causes illness.
What's the technique for forgiving?
Consciously send out thoughts of love, peace, joy, goodwill to the person who hurt you. Repeat it until you feel a release, until the emotional sting is gone. It's for your freedom.
Keep forgiving until it doesn't hurt anymore.
Exactly. Release it for your own well-being.
What about mental blocks? Things that hold us back, bad habits, limiting beliefs, feeling jinxed.
He says the solution is always within the problem. Assume your subconscious infinite intelligence already knows the answer and turn to it. Habit itself is a function of the subconscious.
So you can reprogram habits.
Yes, through conscious repetition of the desired new habit or thought pattern. The mental movie technique works well here too. Visualize yourself free from the bad habit, acting out the no one.
Like Mr. Jones overcoming alcoholism in the book.
Right. Or Mr. Block overcoming his jinx by changing his expectation from failure to success. It requires focused attention, strong desire, and persistence.
He mentions 3 steps for alcoholism.
Yeah. Get still and quiet. Repeat a short phrase like sobriety and peace are mine now. And vividly imagine someone congratulating you on your freedom. Repetition, feeling, visualization.
So identify the block, then apply these techniques consistently.
That's the way to dissolve them.
Fear is another big one he tackles. Man's greatest enemy, he calls it.
Behind failure, sickness, bad relationships.
Right.
Yeah. But he emphasizes most fears are learned, acquired. They aren't real, like a childhood fear of the dark.
Emerson's advice. Do the thing you are afraid to do.
That's the antidote. He gives the example of overcoming fear of public speaking by suggesting confidence and ease to the subconscious before sleep when it's most receptive.
We're only born with fear of falling and loud noises. All others are learned.
That's the idea. Normal fear is protective, but abnormal, persistent fear becomes debilitating. The way to overcome it is to focus on the opposite desire. Love casts out fear.
Use the law of substitution. Replace fear of failure with faith in success, fear of sickness with faith in health.
Exactly. Recognize the fear is just a thought in your mind. You can choose a different thought. Laugh at your fears, he says. Nothing can disturb you but your own thought.
Focus on the good, knowing that power is with those thoughts.
Yes. Consciously replace fear with faith in the desired outcome.
Finally, he talks about staying young in spirit forever. Is that really possible?
Mentally and emotionally, yes. He argues the subconscious mind itself is timeless. It doesn't age, fatigue, feeling old. These are largely mental states, not inevitable physical decline.
So we should think young.
Think, feel, act young. Cultivate enthusiasm, faith, interest in life. The only retirement should be from fear and worry. Associate mentally with vitality and joy.
Love, joy, peace, laughter. Those are the secrets.
Those are the qualities of eternal youth, he suggests. Look at people who achieve great things late in life. They maintain that spirit. See old age as a time for wisdom, peace, greater joy.
Remember you're a child of eternity.
A wonderful perspective, isn't it? Cultivate a youthful mindset, focus on positive emotions, connect with that timeless life within you.
So, wrapping this up, after diving deep into the power of your subconscious mind, what's the main takeaway?
I think it's really about understanding, truly understanding the incredible potential you hold within your own mind. It's already there.
And that this isn't just theory. Dr. Murphy gives practical techniques you can start using right away.
Absolutely. But it all comes back to realizing that your thoughts and your feelings are the keys. You have the ability to choose them, to direct them.
You're the one shaping your reality, consciously or unconsciously.
Right. So the power is in taking conscious control of that inner world.
So maybe a final thought for our listeners.
Yeah.
Consider which one of these ideas, these principles, really struck a chord with you today.
What feels most relevant to your life right now?
And then maybe think about one small step, just one thing you can do today to start consciously directing your subconscious towards what you truly desire.
Yeah, because this deep dive, it's really just the beginning of the journey, isn't it? The journey of unlocking that amazing power within you.